Hey, I'm here, just waiting for the judge to come in.
All right, good morning. This is Pasco Municipal Court. Today is October 30th, 2020. We're here today on some trial readiness hearings as well as some arraignments for in custody individuals. Mr. Libbert, good morning. Mr. Hanson is present today. He's appearing remotely. Mr. Libbert, go ahead.
We're here for trial readiness on two members, 404 and 408.
Mr. Barajas.
For Felipe Barajas, correct.
Good morning.
And Your Honor, it's my understanding that given the prosecutors' concerns with COVID, that at this point they're not going to be ready or able to proceed with trial on Wednesday. Our position, Your Honor, is that Barajas has been in custody since July, so we're not at this point agreeing to a new setting trial. The issue hadn't previously been brought up. I don't believe when we set this, we anticipated that potentially there'd be jury trials.
Yes.
Mr. Barajas has indicated, I believe it's still the case, that he's willing to proceed on a bench trial without a jury.
Mr. Hanson.
So, Your Honor, I caught the end that he is willing to do a bench trial. I did not see any waivers of jury trial in our file, so we have to go through that hoop before we proceed.
All right. Well, I will rely on Mr. Libbert's indication and would ask that a written waiver be filed. Let me see. Are you ready to proceed on Wednesday, Mr. Hanson?
Your Honor, I did not previously have a waiver of jury, so we did not subpoena witnesses to come for Wednesday. If we had that waiver and known this was going to be a bench trial, we certainly would have been prepared. And unfortunately, logistically, with the way Pasco is set up, I don't know that we could remotely do a bench trial this week. Though thankfully my test came back negative, we're still going to adhere to the 2-week quarantine policy, which will run through next Thursday. So I'll be available next Friday, but I won't be available in person until then.
Let's take a look at the docket. Mr. Barajas, I understand. Are you held on other matters as well, or is this the only thing you're being held on? All right.
I think he has a Kennewick driving suspended first warrant sitting on.
The next available trial dates as well. So we have already two other matters on the 13th of November. I believe that these are all being held together.
All right. So you're also held on the other matters that are currently scheduled on November 13th. And just for the record, with regard to jury trials, Franklin Superior Court is responsible for summoning potential jurors in, and they have not resumed jury trials yet. I anticipate, based on their most recent communication, that they may resume doing that in December. Mr. Barajas, you've indicated that you would waive your right to a jury trial and go to a bench trial. Is that correct, sir? We're going to approach the same issue on the upcoming cases, in that on November 13th, you have 2 cases scheduled for trial readiness, which are scheduled for trial then on the 18th. Is that correct? I'm looking at the calendar here. You would be back on next. You're available after next Thursday, correct, Mr. Hanson?
Yes, I should be available in person starting next Friday.
If we receive a written waiver of jury trial in these cases, could you be prepared to do a bench trial on November 18th?
November 18th, I think we should have time to get our subpoenas out for everybody. And in that time, find out if officers are unavailable at that time.
All right, Mr. Libbert?
And so you're requiring if we can handle both all matters on the 18th, is that?
Well, he hasn't, Mr. Barajas hasn't really addressed the other 2 cases, so I'll allow you to get an opportunity to talk to him about that. I'm talking about particularly these 2 cases. If we were able to set them for a bench trial on the 18th, would that? All right. And assuming a discussion and some motion to join was filed, would you be prepared to do the other cases on the 18th as well?
I believe so, Your Honor. It's essentially all the same witnesses, other than potential difference in police officers involved.
All right.
All the witnesses are the same.
So, Mr. Barajas, I'm going to give you an opportunity to talk to Mr. Libbert about those other cases as well, whether or not you want to waive your right to a jury trial. If you do wish to waive, you need to file something in writing, okay? All right. So currently then, with regard to this, I am going to find, based on the current circumstances with COVID-19, good cause and indispensable delay. I'm going to reset this current matter to November 18th. If we get written waivers for a jury trial, say by next Tuesday, we'll go forward with those bench trials on that day.
So, Your Honor, which cause numbers, just so I can note them down, because I have all 4 files with me today. Which cause numbers are we going forward on, and which one should I have all 4 prepped, or?
Currently, we are scheduling cause numbers 541404 and 541408 for a bench trial, assuming we receive the waiver on November 18th. Let's go ahead and shall we reset the, I think I said Tuesday. We should probably receive those by Monday. Mr. Libbert, yeah, okay. And if we receive the waivers, we will set the other 2 cause numbers of 560963 and 560964 for a bench trial on the same day. Do you think that is feasible, Mr. Hanson?
It is, Your Honor. I believe it's the same lay witnesses, just 2 additional officers for the subsequent cases.
That was my understanding as well. So we'll schedule tentatively all 4 of those cases for a trial on November 18th, Mr. Barajas. All right, you work with Mr. Libert to file the waiver of jury trial. Yes.
Your Honor, just because there's quite a few moving pieces with this. Sorry, I can't hear if Mr. Libert's talking or not.
No, I think that Mr. Libert wishes, or Mr. Barajas wants to address conditions of release again.
Certainly. Your Honor, before we get to that, if I can just request, can we have pre-trial, perhaps not this Monday, but the following Monday? That way we can make sure the waiver of jury trial is in the files, as well as, I guess, just formally going through the process of joining them. That way the record's very clean. We have everybody on board on the same page that he wants to have all the bench trials on the same day before Your Honor.
All right, so let's set all 4 cases to November 9th for the city's motion to join for trial, as well as for Mr. Barajas to file a written waiver of jury trial.
We will maintain the readiness and trial dates as well.
Let's strike the 13th. Because I don't think it would be necessary.
If we're having a pre-trial on Monday.
If we're having them one on Monday, we'll do the trial readiness at the same time. All right, and Mr. Libert, I heard Mr. Barajas say something about a PR. I'm assuming he wants to address conditions of release in these cases.
Yes, Your Honor. The crux is the reset of this case at this point. I expected that trial today, but as well as the fact that he's been in custody since since July. He's had an attorney change in the middle, and the offer for resolution has been credit for time served for quite a while. He feels that the amount of time that he has been in has been more than sufficient, and would like to be released pending his trials. And Your Honor, I would also ask if we could address release conditions on the other 2 matters that are not set for today as well.
All right. Mr. Hanson, essentially, I don't know if you were able to hear Mr.
I was able to hear the entire
Yes,
argument.
okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, the city's concern is the same that it has been this whole time. Mr. Barajas, as Mr. Libert indicated, the offer is, at this point, credit for time served. However, the concerns are still the same for the city, that he's on pretrial conditions. He already demonstrated an inability to follow the protection orders as a condition of release. Furthermore, he has an active bench warrant out of Kennewick on a driving while suspended 1st degree. So the concern is if he's PR'd here, he's going to go straight over to Benton County, and he's looking at, I believe, 180 days on that driving while suspended 1st. So the concern is if he bounces over to Benton County, we won't have him for 6 months. I don't think it prejudices him any to remain in, because he was going to be here till November 18th at least on the other 2 matters that were set for that day.
Anything else you'd like to say, Mr. Libert? Actually, I show that on these two cases, he's not being held. I think he's being held on the other matters. He was released on these two matters. Let me get the other file real quick here. So there is no bail on these. He was released on these two cases. I believe the bail is associated with one of the other two order violations. I'll look at that and see what it is.
$5,000 cash or bond on 963.
And I think 1,000 on, unless we modified that.
Yeah, it looks like 1,000 on 964.
All right, on cause number 964, bail is currently set at $1,000. On cause number ending in 963, bail is set at $5,000. Those were set at the time because of the violation of the order that was issued in cause number ending in 404. At this point in time, given the number of delays with regard to trial, I would amend the bail on cause number ending in 6-3 to $1,000 cash or bond for a total of $2,000 on those two cases. All other conditions remain the same. I still do have a concern about the showing of substantial danger and the continuing violation of the no contact orders. All right, I'm filing an amended conditions of release and cause number XZ05600963, setting bail in the amount of $1,000 cash or bond. All other conditions remain the same. You stay in touch with your attorney. Your next court date will be November 9th. Let me see if I have an amount on that other cause. Bail in the Benton County case is set at $1,000. Okay, all right. All right, we are here today also on Ismael Sanchez Marcelino. Mr. Sanchez Marcelino, you're here today on a charge of driving under the influence of intoxicants. That is a criminal violation. If convicted of that, you do face up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine. There's a mandatory minimum sentence of, well, I'm not sure what it is, because rather than give me the facts in this case, Officer Nunez just states a lot of conclusions based on his observations. So I don't know what the reading was.
Your Honor, Mr. Huey was kind enough to look in the report for me and relay that it was a 0.12 is what the breath test comes back in.
All right. So based on that, I will find probable cause, and the mandatory minimum sentence is 1 day in jail if you're convicted of this offense. Do you understand that, Mr. Sanchez Marcelino? You have a number of constitutional rights that were played before court started. Were you able to hear and understand those rights? You have had a chance to talk to the provisional attorney today, and after doing so, you've indicated you wish to plead not guilty, and you will attempt to retain your own attorney. Is that correct, sir? I will enter a plea of not guilty. Mr. Hanson, conditions of release.
Your Honor, so you asked for standard DUI conditions, that you have no new criminal law violations, make all future court dates, don't operate a motor vehicle without proper license or insurance, and do not consume any alcohol, marijuana, not prescribed drugs, etc. Concern here is his ability to file the condition release to have no new criminal law violations. He is currently PR'd on an assault domestic violence out of Your Honor's court. One of his conditions on that PR on that was to have no new criminal law violations. Due to this new one, the city is concerned he'll continue to have criminal behavior. So we're going to ask for $500 cash for bond to ensure that there be no new criminal law violations.
Mr. Huey?
Yes, Your Honor, I did go over that conditions release with Mr. Sanchez, and he noted a potential violation of conditions release. Two different incidences. I tried to look on the conditions. There's not an issue. I don't think there's a condition, no drugs or alcohol on that assault. This is his very first DUI. Breathalyzer is on the lower side, 2.2. He's been in the Tri-Cities for the last 14 years, so this is his criminal record. Does have a good job. He works on a farm, so he is hoping to get PR. If not PR, he's hoping for the lowest scale possible, 250. That's only work at minimum wage.
Mr. Sanchez Marcelino, I have an address on North 24th Avenue. Is that still your current address? How long have you been there, sir? If I release you on this case, will you come back to your court appearances? I don't have any indication of failure to appear history, although I am concerned with regard to the driving under the influence. I think setting conditions of no alcohol, marijuana, or non-prescribed drugs and submitting to a test will be sufficient to alleviate those concerns. Mr. Sanchez Marcelino, I am going to release you. There are conditions. You're not to have any criminal violations or incidents. You're to make all your court appearances. Your next court appearance is December 8th at 8:30 in the morning. You're not to drive without a license or insurance. You're not to possess or consume any alcohol, marijuana, or non-prescribed drugs, and you are to submit to a test if an officer has reason to believe that you've consumed either alcohol or drugs. Do you understand those conditions, sir? There is no bail. I'm going to release you today. All right. That concludes your case, Mr. Sanchez Marcelino. You can have a seat, sir. All right. Mr. Libert and Mr. Barajas have rejoined us here in the courtroom, Mr. Hanson, and I have been handed a waiver of jury trial. Mr. Barajas, this waiver contains a signature on it. Is this your signature? And you are hereby today waiving your right to a jury trial and indicating to the court that you wish to proceed to a bench trial on these matters? Was that a yes? Yes. And did anybody force you or make any promises to get you to waive your right to a jury trial? Are you doing this of your own free will? I have signed the waiver of jury trial. The cause numbers ending in 963, 964, 404, and 408 will proceed to a bench trial in each of those cases. We'll provide a copy of these to you, Mr. Libert and Mr. Barajas. All right, and then we will see you on the 9th. Mr. Barajas, make sure you're here if you post that bail, okay? All right, thank you, Mr. Libert.
Would one of your clerks mind scanning and emailing me a copy of the waiver?
We'll do that after the docket, Mr. Hanson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, we have one other matter set for today's date. I'm going to go ahead and release our interpreter because I don't believe we need you for any other cases this morning. Thank you. We have William Burke scheduled today for a trial readiness hearing. He was present on September 8th, indicating at that point that he was attempting to hire an attorney and has been unsuccessful so far. He did sign a waiver on September 8th, indicating, or with an indication that he was required to be here at today's date. It is now 10:15 in the morning. This hearing began at 8:45.
Your Honor, I have a, if I can make a short record.
Yes.
I have a note from, looks like Mr. Rios' handwriting in our file. I don't know if he called or somebody called on his behalf, but I have an entry on October 7th that indicates the defendant had a stroke and we were going to agree to reset into March of 2021. I don't know if anyone's reached out to the court. I don't see it in the CDK notes.
I see that there was, let me see.
Looks like October 6th, somebody emailed concerning the health of the defendant.
Yes. Yes, we did receive that along with attachments. So I will thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Sure. I think you have the same email from Tiffany Burke. They
Yes.
were in March that way. Hopefully they know what his physical condition is and whether or not he would be able to proceed.
So let's set this back to a Tuesday docket. I don't imagine you have any preference on which particular day.
Not for March.
Given it looks like the severity of the, looks like he suffered a stroke, is on a ventilator, and had multiple organ failures. He was in an induced state, probably a sedation or coma. Let's go ahead and reset this to March 30th and send notice. For Mr. Burke's prognosis. All right, Mr. Hanson, that concludes our cases here today.
Yes,
I take that back. I do have Cameron Schuler on today. He's on for two reasons. A warrant was issued for non-compliance with conditions of probation. He was scheduled for a hearing on October 21. At that time, on that date, we received a phone call from Mr. Schuler indicating that he had just been tested positive COVID. And today is the 30th, which is only 9 days after the date he indicated he was COVID positive. I ordered that he not be brought down to the courtroom today. What I believe I will do is just go ahead and impose the 5 days, because he was here for failing to do 5 days in jail, at 6 days in jail, excuse me. And I will reset the probation violation to a January date and have him served and release him on the probation violation.
Your Honor, probation's due to close in January. Is it possible to put him on a December docket?
Probably not.
More than necessary.
Let me see. We could put him, I suppose we could put him on the 9th. That date is pretty heavy already because the next date is the 23rd and we're not setting any dates. So we could do that. We'll set him on the 9th to address the probation violation.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So I will prepare that. And we can order that he be released upon the completion of his sentence, that he be ordered to report to probation upon his release and provide him the phone number for probation. Does he have any credit at this point?
He has one.
Credit for 1 day. All right. So we'll set him to that December 9th at 8:30 in the morning to address the probation violation. I issued an order for the 6 days previously failed to do and ordered his release upon the completion of that sentence. All right. Now that concludes our cases on the docket this morning. Mr. Hanson, I assume we will see you in a similar fashion on Monday. Is there
Yep.
is there anything we need to do?
No, I'll email the defense panel. Hopefully we'll have everything worked out electronically, though. Just ask a record be made for signature on my behalf, or initials. Our office, just out of abundance of caution, we are going to request all our hearings be remote, with the exception of next Friday. I should be clear. I got a negative test yesterday.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. We will see you on Monday then. Have a
All
good
right.
weekend.
Thank you. You too.
All right.